technology is now giving us the chance to go backwards and ask these questions again. What is the best ingredient for achieving a certain function? And now we can produce it even if naturally it doesn't occur in large quantities. So that's the possibility of what Eggmented is pursuing.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders, and now we're going to dive into the world of food tech with Jon Rathauser, the Chief Egg Officer and co-founder of Eggmented Reality, a co-chair also of the Nevo Alumni organization, an advocate of combining social impact with business models that sustain and scale. Thank you so much for taking the time. You're working on something really, really cool that I don't know much about, but I know a little bit about the space. And so I'm excited to have a fun, informal, but very formative conversation with you about Eggmented Reality, which is one of the coolest names, by the way, for a startup, especially in the food tech world. And I love the Chief Egg Officer, which you'll tell me soon about. And so, Jon, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into food tech? Tell me a little bit about your journey also in Israel, and we'll get started.
Yeah. So I'll start with the journey to Israel.
Yeah.
I've been in Israel about 9 years. And what first brought me here was a sport. I competed for the Israeli national lacrosse team for a bunch of years. I know a lot of people don't even know that Israel has a lacrosse team. They only know lacrosse from American Pie, but yes, we're actually pretty good. We finished 7th in the world, 2nd in Europe. So we're really proud of that. That's what got me here, but lacrosse is a pretty violent and aggressive sport, and so it's not something you can play forever. I was smart enough to know that at a young age, and I looked around and I found an MBA program here in Israel at the Technion. So that was my first year here. I competed for the Israeli national lacrosse team. I studied for my MBA, and near the end of that, I founded my first company, a digital health company called Kehila. Built that for the last 8 years. But fast forward to today, I'm the CEO, Chief Egg Officer, and a co-founder of Eggmented Reality. Like anything worthwhile in Israel, it started with a disagreement. And so I was looking at a different opportunity. I disagreed with the person leading that. We went our separate ways. He went on to lead a different food tech company, and the incubator that was supporting them, Fresh Start in northern Israel, they were creating a new venture called Eggmented Reality. He put my name forward as someone who should be considered to lead the organization, and the rest is history.
I love it. Okay, and your own relationship with food, just so that I know the context of the relationship with Eggmented?
Yeah, so I've been a consumer of food for the last 32 years, since the beginning. Beyond that, the food industry is new to me. I've learned a lot. I've learned quickly. And, on the one hand, it's a very traditional industry, but on the other, it's undergoing a lot of change today. And my one kind of deep and personal connection, I grew up in New Jersey. My grandmother grew up on a chicken farm in central New Jersey, Hillsborough, New Jersey. And she would deliver eggs over to Princeton University to Albert Einstein. And so my mom has made the project of finding these old checks from Albert Einstein to my grandmother and her family, found a news article about it. And it's this really cool connection where my grandmother used to deliver, eggs to one of the smartest people. And I would just wonder what they would think today if they knew we were making egg or egg-like proteins without the chicken, what they would respond to that.
All right. Well, let's dive into it. Tell me a little bit about about Augmented Reality? What is it? What is it all about? And what is the pain points and opportunity that Augmented Reality lives in? I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah. So the food industry is undergoing a lot of change today. Consumers are demanding clean, vegan, non-genetically modified food and food products. For food manufacturers, this is a big challenge for them as they seek to move away from animal source proteins that they've always used. They're losing the functionality that makes our food work. So these are the functions of gelling, binding, foaming, things that keep our cookies stuck together and things that make our cheese stretch as we expect it to. As we move away from animal source proteins, we're losing that. And 60% of our dietary protein today comes from animal sources. So it's not an easy fix. And so Augmented Reality is focused only on protein functionality. So we think about the egg, but not for the egg on your breakfast plate, more so for the reasons that the food industry uses egg. It's function. We search for function using bioinformatics across protein databases. And once we identify proteins that we expect to give us better functionality, we'll produce that using precision fermentation or using microorganisms that when you feed them and make them happy, they'll, produce protein for you. So at a high level, that's what we're doing. Our first product is an egg functional alternative. So I emphasize the functional because we're not trying to recreate the egg. We're not trying to, be a direct replacement of methylcellulose. Instead, we focus on the functionality. We search for it. We're open-minded about where it comes from. And once we identify it, we produce it. The egg and methylcellulose functional market is a combined $41 billion market. But we're a platform. And so we'll repeat this search and identify additional functionalities and produce it across the growing $115 billion protein ingredients market in the future.
All right, let's talk about perception, the world changing. How convicted are we that whether it's augmented, and I hope it's augmented, especially for our conversation, but that this industry is going to be turned upside down, and how long do you think that'll happen until we get there from a consumer standpoint?
Yeah, well, it's happening and it's happening relatively quickly, really as we speak. I mean, last week, there was a major approval by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration that approved one company's cultured meat product. So this is the first cultured meat product to be approved for consumption in the U.S. Singapore is the only other place that had allowed it. So this was kind of a major hurdle that the food tech space and cultivated meat in particular just overcame. That's not exactly what we do. Precision fermentation is a very old technology. And there have been approved products already in the different markets that we're interested in. But there's a huge need to make this transition, whether it's for environmental reasons, animal welfare reasons, because we want more out of our food, greater nutrition, better functionality. And so on the one hand, this is problem solving, and other areas where this is really needed, it has to do with supply chain. So we've seen the effects of war. We've seen the effects of contamination. So there's a massive bird flu right now that's affecting the egg supply. This is a regular thing. It happens all the time. So for various reasons, we need alternatives, and it's happening already. The final way that we think about this at Eggmented Reality is the opportunity. It's not just problem solving, but what would a chef, a baker, a food company do? What kind of products would they create if they didn't have the limitations of today's ingredients? And so, think about your grandmother's cooking and the food that we all grew up with and we love, the ingredients that she put into it. Were they the best ingredients, or were they what was passed down to her, or what was convenient and in the backyard? Technology is now giving us the chance to go backwards and ask these questions again. What is the best ingredient for achieving a certain function? And now we can produce it even if naturally it doesn't occur in large quantities. So that's the possibility of what Eggmented is pursuing.
Interesting. And so talk to me a little bit about where Eggmented is going to be intercepting into the whole supply chain of, the food industry that you're in. So what's sort of the point of intervention that you're taking, and how is that going to impact subsequently the remaining steps?
Yeah. So Eggmented Reality is a B2B ingredients company. So you won't find our product on your grocery store shelf. Instead, we're working with food manufacturers to provide them the ingredients that they're looking for. And so on the one hand, our customers are very sophisticated and they're looking for something very specific, and we have to deliver in terms of performance. But on the other hand, we don't have to worry about creating a brand in the same way that a consumer packaged goods company would have to worry about that. And so we're an enabler both of the existing or traditional food and beverage industry, but also the next generation of food tech companies. So many of these consumer-oriented food tech companies, they are having challenges meeting consumer demand, consumer expectations around what does it mean to be a plant-based burger? What does it mean to be alternative dairy? And so again, this is the challenge of transitioning away from animal-derived protein. We're losing that functionality. So Eggmented Reality can give those companies, the old or the new companies, the functionality that's missing, do it in a way that aligns with all their other goals, getting rid of animals from the supply chain or having something that's more environmentally friendly, and ultimately deliver on the expectations that their customers are seeking.
And so from your perspective, where's the market in terms of the readiness for you? Assuming that, let's say you had the brilliant product that is that perhaps is price competitive, or maybe it's okay that it's not necessarily price competitive. Where are you in terms of the market?
Yeah. So number one, the company is very young. We were established in February of this year, 2022.
A few months ago, yeah.
Just a few
That's
months
why
ago.
we're imagining this is all about a vision podcast. Yeah.
We're sprinting forward. We're really happy with the progress and the stage we're at. The food manufacturers we speak with are ready. They've been looking. They haven't found what we're able to deliver. And so our challenge is giving them enough protein to work with and integrate into their products today. There's a general challenge in the precision fermentation space, which is there isn't enough fermentation capacity globally. And so this is something we're working with partners to address. But to answer your question directly, people are looking for our solutions today. We're speaking with them about our next products. There are other functional needs that we haven't catered to yet. And so we're already in the process of identifying our next products and beginning to start partnerships around that.
Very, very cool. And so tell me a little bit about, you as a CEO chief egg officer, and a little bit about your take now on leadership. You've held quite a few interesting roles. You're actively involved with all sorts of communities as a coach in lacrosse. I'm sure that there's a lot of insights to be learned there about leading a team, especially in a space that is very values driven. You have a phenomenal team. Hilit, for example, I mean, she sounds incredible. But tell me a little bit about, how you perceive your own role as sort of chief egg officer here.
Yeah. So Hilit and the rest of our team, our two co-founders, Dr. Itamar Yadid, Itai Blach, Hadar, Dasi. So everyone on our team is absolutely outstanding. I learn from them on a daily basis. I view my role as making sure that they have what they need to execute. They're the scientists. They're the ones making this happen. I'm an enabler within our company to support them in their challenges. I do have a science background, a science degree. I'm definitely not the scientist. I know enough to follow the conversation, maybe ask a few questions, but more importantly, when to hand it over to the expert. And so I definitely know my limitations, and I do my best to stay within my lane. Beyond that, I'm a very goal-oriented leader. But I try not to take myself too seriously at the same time, hence my title. That's not the title that was given to me when I took this role, but I had some fun with it. And so, I think we're doing our best to enjoy our team, our process. It's an absolute roller coaster, highs and lows, like most startups. And so I'm really fortunate to be building this with such incredible people, and we're having fun along the way. We're all super motivated by, the best things, I would say, trying to feed a growing population healthy food without destroying the environment. And yet it's my job to really keep us business oriented. If we want to have that impact, then it's our job to make sure that this is a really successful financial business, so that we can attract investors and scale this in a way where we can reach more people and have that impact at a larger scale. So that's something that I've learned from my past experiences, my digital health company before this. I would say as a first-time entrepreneur on that, perhaps my mistake was, being so problem-oriented. And, I was obsessed with the problem. And I told that impact story first and the business story second. And I think what I learned from that was to lead with the business case, and the impact will follow. I think of it as the Trojan horse, right? Mm-hmm. So be accepted because we are better, less expensive, whatever our competitive advantage is. And as a result of being accepted and adopted, we're going to have that impact that we're all seeking. So that was a key learning for me from my past venture to this one. Not really doing anything differently other than what story do I tell first? I know our investors will be our biggest cheerleaders as soon as we convince them of the business, and they're going to be the ones telling the impact story. So that's something that I've brought forward with me. You mentioned my experience with different lacrosse teams. Sports have been a huge part of my life. Understanding it's a process. You can't show up to the game without having done the practices that you needed and expect a positive outcome. It's the hard work when no one's looking. It's doing the right thing every time. Those are kind of the values that I've taken from my athletic career, and do my best to incorporate that into this startup.
I love it. Vision of the company, of what you're doing in the world, of what a success would mean for a company like Eggmented Reality. It's just such a fun name to say, Eggmented Reality. It really is. What will be the vision from your perspective?
Yeah. So I think the vision would be that the people that the organizations that we support, that they achieve massive success because of us, right? Today, they have challenges with certain functionalities. Their adoption is challenged by that. And so if we do a really good job in delivering the functionality that we're focused on, we're going to see it in the companies that we support. So really enabling these other companies, helping them achieve as much success as possible, that's a dream of ours. And alongside that, the potential of this is what I call designer proteins. Not that they're synthetic, not that type of designer, but instead, I think of someone sitting in front of a computer with some levers, and they say, I want more gelling, but less foaming. And so you tell us exactly what you want. We can tailor a solution to your need. And so that's what we're working towards. We're listening closely to the needs of our food and beverage manufacturing partners. And everyone has slightly different use case. And so the ability to tailor solutions around their use case, I think that would be an amazing thing to achieve.
I love it. And so if you're looking now at, from a consumer standpoint, what do you need to achieve in order to accomplish the feats there? From me as an egg eater, or somebody who's eating eggs and wants to enjoy the final product that is driven as a result of the engagement with your product. What do you need to achieve on that front?
Yeah. So I think that our customers, the food and beverage manufacturers, they're the ones listening very closely to what their customers, the end consumer, is focused on. At the end of the day, I would say continue being you. pursue the thing that you're interested in. Don't settle for something less. So I want eventually for myself to enjoy eating a vegan only diet. I eat everything today, but I would love to be able to, have an alternative to meat that was satisfying to me, to have an alternative to fish that was satisfying to me. And so, it's our job as food tech entrepreneurs to enable that future. And I think the best thing that the individual consumer can do is try these new options, show the food companies your interest. And if it's not meeting your expectations, demand more. Don't settle for less, but instead put the burden on these food manufacturers to deliver to our expectations and allow the food tech entrepreneurs, food tech organizations to rise to the occasion.
Jon, thank you so much. Really wishing you best of luck with Eggmented Reality. Sounds like an awesome journey from an awesome standpoint and a great entrance. And it sounds like a lot of excitement, vision, and clarity, conviction over these last few months. So I'm going to continue following from the side, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.